We are surrounded by these amazing stories of unity, yet sometimes we forget the bigger picture. Sometimes it feels like we're only seeing headlines of conflict. In fact, just last week, I saw some comments under my videos saying, "Why don't you talk about the Chinese invasion?" Well, I thought about this. I thought about the purpose of my channel and the message I want to share, and I realized there are 3 reasons why I will never make a video titled "Hate the Chinese." Reason number 1, the title itself is too broad and too absolute. And when it comes to complex global issues, black and white statements rarely hold up. You can't just say, "hate the Chinese," because it ignores the complexity of our relationships. There are so many nuances. So many of us have Chinese relatives, friends, or colleagues. Some of us are married to Chinese partners. Others grew up eating tikoy every Chinese New Year. How can you say hate the Chinese? It simply doesn't work. Reason number 2, hating an entire group of people based on their nationality is unjust and immoral. It's judging millions of people based on what their government does. And it's unfair because most Chinese people have no control over their government's policies. They are just as frustrated as we are over the issues in the West Philippine Sea. Judging an entire nation is wrong. We shouldn't forget that behind the headlines of conflict are actual people, people with feelings, dreams, and fears. And reason number 3, and perhaps the most important one, hating the Chinese won't solve our problems. If anything, it will make things worse. We are all interconnected in this world. We all depend on one another. As Filipinos, we need to focus on solutions, on diplomacy, on building bridges, not burning them. Hating the Chinese will only create more division. So today, let me challenge the idea that we should hate the Chinese. Let's go beyond the headlines and explore the truth. Let's talk about the real impacts on our lives and the real ways forward. Don't worry, I'm not going to ignore the conflict. I'll discuss that too. But I want us to take a step back and see the bigger picture. I want us to see the humanity in all of this. Let's start with something simple. Let's talk about your phone. If you're watching this on a smartphone, which I'm sure you are, chances are that phone has parts from China. Maybe its camera or its processor. You might even be using a Chinese brand like Huawei or Oppo. And that's okay. There's no shame in using Chinese products. In fact, it's smart, it's practical, it's the way the world works now. Millions of Filipinos use Chinese phones and nobody bats an eye. Why? Because we understand that the best products aren't made by nationality, they're made by skilled engineers and workers. It doesn't matter if they're Chinese, Filipino, Japanese, or Indian. What matters is the quality of the product and whether it helps our lives. Well, guess what? The same logic applies to nearly everything around you. Your clothes, your shoes, your furniture, your appliances, even your toys. Chances are some of these things are made in China. And again, that's okay. In fact, it's great. It means millions of Chinese people have jobs. It means their families earn money. It means the Chinese economy grows. And guess what? It also benefits us, the Filipinos. It means we have more options to buy things. It means we can buy them at affordable prices. It means we can save money instead of spending it on expensive products from other countries. So here's what I'm getting at. By nature, globalization is a win-win. It allows countries to specialize in what they're good at and trade with one another. This is how the whole world benefits. So why do we single out China? Why do we say hate the Chinese? When it comes to Chinese imports, they benefit us just as much as they benefit them. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You might say, but what about the labor practices? What about the human rights issues? Well, that's a fair question, but remember, every country has its own struggles. Every government has its own problems. We can't pretend that the Philippines is perfect or that our own government has never committed mistakes. No country is. So instead of focusing on the negative, let's try to see the positive. Let's try to look for the good in this situation. Here's the fact. China is a major player in the global economy. It's one of the biggest markets in the world. And if we demonize China, if we hate the Chinese, we are cutting ourselves off from one of the biggest markets in the world. We are closing doors to potential partnerships, investments, and jobs. This is what happens when we generalize and when we hate. We throw away opportunities to improve our lives. Let me give you another example. Let's talk about tourism. Before the pandemic, China was one of the biggest sources of tourists in the Philippines. In 2019, almost 2 million Chinese tourists visited our country. They spent money in our shops, they ate in our restaurants, they booked our hotels, they contributed to our economy. Of course, it's true that not all tourists behave well. There are some who litter, who disrespect our culture, but we can't blame an entire nation for the actions of a few. So, let's not forget the bigger picture. Let's remember that behind the headlines of conflict are real people with real dreams. And when we hate these people, when we generalize, we're hurting everyone. We're hurting our own economy, we're hurting our own businesses, and we're hurting our own lives. Remember, the Chinese tourists who came to the Philippines weren't just numbers. They were people. They were people with families, with dreams, and with hopes. They wanted to experience something new. They wanted to explore our beautiful beaches. They wanted to taste our delicious foods. And we should respect that. We should respect their desire to learn about our culture. We should respect their curiosity about the Philippines. So here's what I want us to remember. When we talk about China, let's not just focus on the negative. Let's not just talk about the conflict. Let's also talk about the positive. Let's talk about the millions of Chinese people who visit the Philippines to experience our culture, to learn about our history, and to spend their money in our economy. Let's talk about the Chinese students who study in our universities. Let's talk about the Chinese entrepreneurs who invest in our businesses. Let's talk about the Chinese families who live in our communities, who send their kids to our schools, who shop in our stores. Let's not forget the Chinese Filipino families who contribute so much to our society, who make our cities more vibrant, and who enrich our culture. Yes, it's true that the Chinese government poses challenges. Yes, it's true that the conflict in the West Philippine Sea hurts our fishermen. Yes, it's true that there are issues we need to address. But let's not lose sight of the bigger picture. Let's not lose sight of the millions of ordinary Chinese people who are just like us. Let's not lose sight of the fact that we all want the same things: peace, happiness, and a better future for our families. Let's not allow politics to divide us, to turn us against each other, or to create unnecessary hatred. Because in the end, we all live on the same planet. We all depend on one another, and we all deserve a chance at happiness. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And I invite you to join our community. We have a lot of interesting discussions there. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And I invite you to join our community. We have a lot of interesting discussions there. Again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.